everyone, thank you for visiting my presentation of Chapter 22, Social Networking. If you haven't done so already, please open up the PowerPoint presentation within the same thread as the link you found for this presentation. So let's jump right in with what is a social networking site. A social networking site, according to our text, is a website in which it has three things. The first, a user must be able to construct a profile within the website. Second, a user must be able to construct a list of contacts within that site. And third, a user must be able to view their list of contacts, as well as other people's contacts. As we know, the second part about being able to view other people's contacts do vary from website to website based on privacy settings, but you must at least be able to view your own contact list. I've included a number of icons of popular social networking sites on this slide 2. If you recognize any of these, you are absolutely in the majority. It's estimated that 4 out of 5 young adults are currently on at least one social networking site. If you're not familiar with these icons, let me introduce them to you from left to right. We have Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Tumblr. Just as a side fun fact, they are mostly blue within the icons. I did a lot of research to try to find why this is, if it's just a matter of some sort of psychological color association or trying to meld them all together. Couldn't find anything definite, so if you know, I would be interested in knowing. But moving on to slide 3, we have a brief history of social networking. Long before we had the term social networking, we had the concept of computers networking with each other. The first big development in this was in 1969 with a company called CompuServe. Basically what this was a computer timeshare service for smaller businesses. When computers, of course, first came out, they were very expensive and not something that small businesses could easily obtain. This gave smaller businesses the opportunity to have more opportunity for development and more things that larger companies would be having, kind of put them on a better playing field. In the late 1980s, early 1990s, we started to see bulletin board sites. These were things such as AOL, where people could go on, create a unique username, and post on different bulletin boards. You could start a thread, reply to a thread, and even privately message people. In 1996, we saw 6 Degrees, which was a website based on the theory of 6 degrees of separation. This basically states that everyone in the world can be connected with 6 degrees of connection. In this website, people could go on, place themselves on the map, and ask others to connect with them, so that you could basically see a people web of how everyone knew each other or how you were connected within those 6 degrees. This website ended up closing in 2001, but in 2002, we saw our first true social networking site, Friendster. This was the first opportunity to provide and expand personal information on your site. In 2003, MySpace saw the success that Friendster was having and took the opportunity for customization to a whole new level. On MySpace, users could go on, create their own backgrounds, create formats, and even add songs that they wanted people to see when they clicked on their MySpace page. In 2003, in the midst of all of the socializing going on with social networks, LinkedIn came to play. And this was the first opportunity for a truly professional social networking site, where the aim was strictly professional purposes of getting information out and connecting with others. In 2004, Facebook came about, and this was the first platform with a newsfeed. This was different because in previous pages, if you wanted to see what was going on with someone, you had to click on their individual page. With Facebook, you'd log onto your home page, and you would see everything going on with everyone from the last time you logged in and even earlier, whether someone changed their picture, if someone got married, or if someone just wanted to share a status. The other thing that made Facebook unique was initially it was an exclusive site. It started off at Harvard, where the creators were studying, and eventually expanded to students. To register for Facebook, you needed an email address ending in .edu. As we know now, Facebook has of course expanded to all internet users with either a mobile phone or an email to register your account with. In 2006, Twitter opened up, and Twitter was a very interesting development because it basically brought in microblogging. The other big thing about Twitter was that it was majorly propelled by celebrity use and also festival use. So this was something that really took off because it was a different platform of use. And in 2011, the most recent big development was Google+. Google Plus was different because it introduced the concept of social circles. Basically, you could take your contacts and separate them in different areas of your life. For example, you could put contacts in family groups, friend circles, church circle, bowling club circle, whatever it is you had going on. So you could keep these people separate and send information specifically to groups that you wanted them to see. So moving on to more recent developments, one of the big things we've seen is social networking going public. And by going public, we mean entering into the business opportunity of being in the stock exchange. One thing many people don't realize is that large companies that are social networking, such as Google and Facebook, are businesses. In 2004, Google made big news because it had an estimated value of $23 billion. Facebook, when it went public in 2012, had an estimated value of $100 billion. Both of these companies are still in the stock exchange as of current, and I will put on the day that I upload the presentation the current stock prices of both of these companies in the PowerPoint. The next big development was integration, specifically Facebook integration. It was big news when MySpace started to integrate with Facebook. MySpace was starting to fade out of the public eye, so it tried to stay relevant by allowing users to cross-reference and cross-post Facebook and MySpace. As we know now, if you're a user of multiple accounts, you can cross-reference and cross-post many different types of pages such as Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, and so forth. The next big development was definitely the use of mobile and tablet applications. I, for example, can go onto my phone, and on my phone I can access Facebook, Instagram, and other things that are conveniently right on my hand most hours of the day. Of course, with all of the positive developments have come about many controversial developments too. Specifically, there are 5 things that have been looked at recently and in our text. The first of these 5 things is cyberbullying. This is something that's really come into the spotlight as of recent, especially in news programming, because we have seen a lot of people both suffer consequences of being a bully and also people that have suffered consequences of being bullied. And these, of course, have ranged anywhere from emotional consequences all the way up to attempted and completed suicide attempts. The second thing that we've seen a lot of is privacy concerns. One reason for privacy concerns is the mobility of our Facebook applications and other social networking applications. People don't always know if they're accessing something on their Facebook, or even if they're in a coffee shop, for example, using wireless internet, if their information is being accessed by someone else that they don't want to see. Another thing within privacy concerns is with companies that have invested in Facebook and other such social networks who have more access to see what we're doing. These are people we may not want to see what we're doing, not necessarily because they have ill intent, but just because we want to preserve our privacy as humans. The third thing is hacking, and hacking is, in my opinion, a step above privacy concerns, because people are accessing your profile or your page, and they have the ability to make changes, send messages to other people, posing as yourself, and also put out statuses, put out information that is not coming from you, it's coming from the person that's hacked you or the company that's hacked you. The fourth concern is phishing, and this is something that can be active or passive. A example of passive phishing may be, for example, you click on an ad and unknowingly you download a Trojan virus. A Trojan virus is something you don't know that you're downloading, and you may never know that it's in your computer unless you search for it. The Trojan virus will sit in your computer and basically see everything you do online. So for example, you go to shop somewhere, the Trojan virus is picking up your information. A more active example of phishing could be a email from someone that is posing as someone else. For example, you could get an email stating that it's from American Express, and they want to make sure they have the most up-to-date information on you. They would like you to email them back your address, your phone number, other information. And in fact, the person you're emailing is not American Express. It is a third company that does not have the right to your information. And in most cases, phishing will be used to cause harm to you financially. The fifth big concern, which has definitely come into light with the Manti Te'o controversy, is phishing. Is catfishing. Catfishing is when somebody poses as another person, either a real person or a fictional person, to contact you and pose themselves as someone else. So this, of course, can come into issues of sharing information with someone you shouldn't be, and also just the emotional consequences of having that violation of self. Moving on to slide 5, I've taken some of the information about current internet use and visualized it for the class. There was a study completed among current internet users, specifically internet adults, who were currently using social networking sites. Among those who had internet access, we see reflected in each of these categories people who responded positively to having at least one or more social networking sites in blue. We can see that in some areas, such as between age 19 to 29 and age 65 and over, there's a big difference in the percent of adults in those groups belonging to social networking sites. Even though this number does vary, it still is significant that the group age 65 and over does have so many users. Less than 10 years ago, the number of people on social networking sites who were 65 years or older was estimated to be less than 1% of all internet users. Now we can see that approximately 33% of those age 65 or older are using social networking services. On slide 6, I've also visualized some more information from our text. In 2011, the Nielsen company that does TV ratings was interested in seeing how we're using our time on the internet for social networking compared to other popular sites. The Nielsen company recorded in July 2011 the number of minutes spent on 7 popular websites. As we can see in the graph, Facebook was by far the most popular website to spend time on and was greatly seen more than any of these other websites. Moving on, I would like to talk about my own social networking experience for just a little bit. I must say I am a fan of social networking. As I've mentioned already, I do access social networking on my phone. I do currently use Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and I do somewhere have an old MySpace that I need to cancel because I haven't used it in years. I do enjoy my social networking because it's definitely a way to remain connected. In the past 8 years, I've moved about 6 times in 4 different states, so there's definitely connections that I have all over the place, and it's just easy to stay in touch. Specifically, I have a 4-year-old niece who's a little older now than she was in this picture, but she lives about 3 hours away from me, so she's not someone I get to see very often. But thanks to Facebook, I can go on, I can see pictures of her, I can see videos, and I can really keep up very easily with what's going on with her. The next thing in my experience as the pro of using social networking is that I can see social updates. For example, I had a friend today announce on Facebook that she was engaged, She's someone that I haven't seen in a few years because she's now a few time zones over for graduate school, but she is someone that I enjoy staying close to. And I was very happy to be able to see on the day of the engagement that she was engaged and wish her well. The third pro of social networking for me is opportunities for new experiences and new exposures. I honestly cannot tell you how many times I've gone on Facebook, gone on Pinterest, and seen a different concert or seen a different recipe that I've wanted to try. And so I could probably fill a book with all those experiences. The fourth thing, absolutely, living in 2014 is convenience. It's something with everyone being so busy and having so many obligations, it's really nice just to have social networking there to communicate with others and keep track of what's going on. The fifth experience, or fifth positive experience of my social networking has definitely been professional opportunity. I am an active LinkedIn user, and I have been able to many times access new career opportunities, access new connections, and even find out about professional development opportunities and skills that are out there that I want to obtain by using my LinkedIn social networking. With the pros, of course, do come the cons of social networking. First and foremost, the biggest concern for me is privacy violation. I am someone that uses every privacy protection that I can use. I don't put anything on the internet that I wouldn't want out there. I change my password frequently. I use virus protection. I use everything that I can think of. But knowing this still, I do know that I can't protect my information 100%. So it is something I'm always very wary of. The second thing is oversharing. For many people, this can mean many different things. In some examples, I have people that are my Facebook friends or whatnot that are sharing information that they really shouldn't be sharing publicly. The other thing I have with oversharing is that I'm a very big Boston sports fan, and I will go on my Facebook, and every time David Ortiz scores a home run, I see it from about 20 different people. This is something that's not necessarily a threat to me, but it's something that's inconvenient and can definitely give a negative to the experience. The third con that I will share is the expectation of connectivity. I am someone that is pretty much a homebody. I do like to have personal time, whether it's just 15 minutes to kind of debrief after the end of the day, or if I'm not working that weekend and I just want to have the time off to myself. I do know that even though I want to cut myself off, my friends, my family do know that, again, I have this with me most times, and they know that if they're going to send something to me, I will receive it. So it gives me a kind of feeling of personal obligation that I have to respond. So there are times with social networking where I wish I could just give it a break and kind of disconnect a little bit and have a little bit more of my own time. So going back to our text, our writers of our books gave us 4 specific things that they saw coming as factors to watch. The first one was application and game integration. Our text was published in 2012, and as of current, it's 2014, and we know that in 2 years, a lot can change. So their first prediction of application and game integration for Facebook and other networks was something that came true. If you follow the links on my PowerPoint presentation, you can see that you can connect to Facebook apps and Facebook advertising. There are countless apps. I was not able to find an exact number of applications, but they are in the millions to my knowledge. Also, Facebook advertising. Facebook advertising is now something that anyone can access, whether you want to reach out people for your small business, or really any opportunity you want people to know about, anyone can now advertise on Facebook. The second prediction that they made was that Pinterest would continue to grow. When our book was published, Pinterest had approximately 12 million users, and as of 2013, when they last published a user count, they had 25 million users. So this had more than doubled. The third prediction was that Facebook would reach its 1 billionth user. On October 4th, 2012, Facebook did indeed reach its 1 billionth user who opened their account on Facebook. The fourth prediction made was regarding cyber legislation. In light of the cyberbullying and other issues going on, there has been a lot of recent development, especially in the legal world. First, in 38 states, cyber stalking laws are now in place, and second, in 40 states, there are cyber harassment laws in place. So all four of these came true. As we know from our reading and from our life experiences, technology moves fast. In the approximate 2 years since August Grant and Jennifer Meadows sent our text to publication, their four predictions have become reality. On slide 9, I present my question to you. In the next 2 years, what do you predict to be the next big move in social network sites? Personally, for me, I will issue out my prediction. One thing that I've noticed a huge growing trend is large corporations using social networking. For example, when I pick up my prescription from CVS, the bag it comes in asks me to follow them on Facebook. When I order from Bath & Body Works, the confirmation email asked me to follow them on Twitter. My yogurt that I was having this morning had a sticker on the back to like them on yogurt. Who knew? Could be friends with yogurt someday. All of these things are becoming huge things in the corporate world. My prediction is that corporate advertising among Facebook will turn into something where it can be direct purchasing from Facebook. Currently, if you are a Facebook user of applications, you may be familiar with certain applications such as Candy Crush and other games that give you the opportunity to make a purchase for that game, such as a life or a certain ability, by a single click directly through that page. With my prediction, I predict that when advertisers post their products on Facebook, Twitter, whatnot in the future, you'll be able to make purchases directly through that link. Currently, if I were to go onto the Bath & Body website, for example, or their Facebook rather, I would have to see what they have on Facebook and then click a link to go to the Bath & Body Works site. If the middle step of going over to a different site is taken out, there's two big advantages. First, it's the convenience for the customers, and second, there's an increase in impulse buys. When I'm going from Facebook to the Bath & Body site, going into that account, registering, and so forth, I do have that opportunity to say, do I really want this product? If I'm on Facebook and I can just see something, click it, and have it ordered, that is reducing my time that I'm thinking about that impulse buy. So for the company, that would be a huge advantage. So for those two factors, I do see this becoming something in the next 2 years, maybe even, that will be something we see quite often. So I thank you very much for visiting my presentation. I wish you all the best of luck in this semester and have a great day. Thanks so much.